Hello and welcome to another episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast, the number one necromunda lore podcast fueled entirely on chemically treated Ambull testosterone. As always, I am Spamuel, and to my right, the mastiff manipulating manvant himself, Nathan.
Hey mate, how are ya? For the listeners out there, I've just watched this man spend 5 minutes coming up with that because he realised he didn't have one ready. It was a glorious thing to actually witness firsthand, but also very disappointing for the outcome I got. But I'm good, brother. How are you?
Everything planned except this.
You got the giggles, do you?
Yep. Yeah, no, mastiff manipulating manvant. I think it's really good.
Are you really happy with that, are you?
It was so hard coming up with 3 M words. One of them being manvant. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not gonna lie. I have been using aerosol paints in a enclosed garage, because I've been painting my gang. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy has actually applied some paint to a gang, and at the rate I'm going, they may just be ready in time for Arcramunda.
In 2024, yes.
2024, yes. I'm not saying what year this gang will be ready in.
Yeah. Slap job.
Slap
job.
Honestly,
dark undercoat, highlights.
I'm trying. It turns out I forgot how to thin my paints, and I get it contrast. You just get them on there. But I just need to be better. So I'm getting there. But more importantly, my dude, how is your gang coming? At the date this episode is released, we will be approximately 2 weeks.
More than enough time.
2 weeks. Yeah, we'll be 2 weeks away from Arcramunda.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll probably get another gang done in that time. Like, just the incredible pace and focus that I work with is just phenomenal. And as people would have seen on Instagram, a couple of lads are already up there.
Yes.
And they're looking, I think they look brilliant. I think I'm sort of, how do I put this in the most modest way possible? A genius.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius songbird voice of a generation.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. No, I'm chopping along quite nicely with them. The only thing that is probably a little bit more of a struggle than I imagined it would be is the vehicle. So I thought I was going to be very clever with that and just bolt a big mining laser on it. Yeah. But the more I do, the more I want to do. And I haven't quite switched on that little switch in my brain that just goes, that's enough. Move on to the next miniature. So,
and as anyone who's seen the gangers you've thrown up on Instagram would know, your gang does have a lot going on already. It is just a cacophony of different bits and kits that have gone into and they all look fantastic. But we got 2 weeks, dude.
2 weeks.
Get them painted.
There's a little mantra we have in my workplace, in my family, amongst friends. It's faith in Nath. You say it a lot, don't you?
I like to think of bands from the 90s here when people say things like that and just say faith no more.
Oh, that's worse than any joke I've ever put on this podcast. Any joke. Oh, I said faith no more when you said faith. Oh, he's a genius, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not the one who said it this time. But
anyway, yes.
That's on before we start hurting each other's feelings.
Yeah, true.
Gangs are good. We're on track. We will both get to Arcramunda with everything done and painted and going. And that takes us to the first somewhat official piece of business. Scummers, our competition is still going. And we've gotten a lot of people reaching out to us on that and following those instructions and requests of follow us on Instagram, like the post that came out with our Hive Life episode, and just tell us what gang you want to start. And you're in the running to win a gang box of your very own. but we've also got people who have DM'd us, hey, I would love to win this gang, or have liked the post and have liked us on Instagram, but haven't told us what gang they want on that post. Please jump on all three of those options, get it up there, because there's a lot of people in this competition now, and we want to see a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. So make sure you do follow us, and make sure you do write your gang that you want in there, because we want to get one lucky winner out there, a gang. Also, furthermore to that, I'd just say the positive vibes and response that we're getting on Instagram has just been fantastic. Thank you, everybody out there, for just the love. It makes this so much more. Well, it's still fun to do this, but it just adds that extra layer of fun to our podcast, just to know that there's so many people out there enjoying our content.
And it's insane the number of people reaching out to us and just being like, oh, someone reached out just the other day and went, oh, hey, I was listening to your episode on the Escher, and they were telling me that I believe it was the Morrigan. Remember, we were like, oh, I wonder if this is a real word or if it's actually, a real thing about, what that group was called. And it's just like, oh, yeah, by the way, so a fella by the name of the Wargaming Butterfly, if no one said, the Morrigan is a feature in Celtic and Irish, mostly Irish folklore, who is the Queen Witch of war, death, and retribution.
Cool.
That is insane.
We are now more informed. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but it's just little things like that. People reaching out and being like, "Oh, I listened to this," or, "Hey, you mentioned this in an episode. Has anything further come from that?" And a bunch of people have actually reached out after the Hive Life episode, asking, not only in regards to stuff about our Hive Mortis campaign. We promise we will have something for you all really soon in regards to that. I tried out one of the scenarios me and Nath had come up with, and I somehow broke it. But then also the mission that we were talking about, Democracy Manifest, I had a lot of fun playing that against myself, and immediately got just stomped out of existence by 6 very pissed off enforcers. So we will run that through a few more tests, and we will get it up there for everyone to have a play with.
Yeah, so one of the guys who contacted us is at Jason Turner Minis on Instagram, and
yes,
we responded to him. But yes, my friend from the Instagram world, we have got it in the works. We have got a campaign coming. We're not going to set a hard and fast time frame on it, just because it is something of a bit of a passion project for us at the moment. We're coming up with tasty little ideas and little inclusions for what we can do for this Mortis campaign, but we will have it eventually and have it available for everybody to use, trial, and tell us where to improve or what they love from it.
You can't expect too much from us. I've had a year to prepare for this event in November, and I am still building part of the gang. So I'm only 2 weeks from the event. That's fine.
That's fine. Plenty of time, mate. Plenty of time. Yeah.
But Nathan, our episode today.
Yes. Talking about the fauna on Necromunda. So this is a really cool aspect of the planet, because fauna, well, we'll say flora for the moment, but flora and fauna within the 40k sphere is generally only really touched on. It's about the armies and about the battlefields and so forth. Whereas in Necromunda, the fauna are really important, because you're sort of drilling down into what it's like to be on that planet. So it's really important that we get an understanding of the types of creatures and beasts that are not only native to the planet, but also that are imported in there, and how they affect those environments.
And I'm going to cut off a couple of the questions I know we're going to get after this episode is released. Guys, there's a lot of animals in the list that we know are on Necromunda that you haven't mentioned. This is going to be a multi-part episode, purely for the fact of, A, there's a lot when it comes to sort of the El Generico animal options available or sort of mentioned in a lot of the background lore for Necromunda. But also, a lot of the stuff we're not talking about is going to be house or gang specific. For example, the Chimerics of House Escher or the Sumpcrocs of House Goliath. They would be mentioned in their own gang specific episodes. For example, the Escher stuff has already been mentioned. But we don't want to be talking and putting all of this information and time into something now that we're going to actually be able to go into much deeper in those specific gang episodes. That being said, a lot of this is going to be, as it usually is with us, a mixture of official lore, headcanon. In the case of Caryatids, as I promised you all, I believe in that rulebook episode, it's going to be a lot of conspiracy theory from me. I have opinions on Caryatids, and you are all being forced to listen to those. So, yeah, there's going to be a couple episodes on this, and later on, maybe get into some of the flora as well. I'm sure.
I think so. Like, I mean, this in our research, we've not really found a great deal related to the flora. There's enough out there to keep it interesting, but it's definitely the fauna side of it, the animals and the beasties and all that are certainly the more talked about and mentioned things on Necromunda. So I guess what we obviously want to explore within this is how you use those beasts. Yeah. So if you're talking about involving more beasties and animals and so forth within your gang, I think it's a great way to not just have some awesome different types of miniatures and models to place within your gang, some converting opportunities as well, but also a great way to help create more character and depth for an individual gang member or a champion or whatever, that you have a beastie that's attached to them. So, for use of a better term, a Turner and Hooch of Necromunda.
That'll obviously be more focused on in the Enforcer episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You realise by the time we do that, you now have to have special rules written for a Turner and Hooch style character.
But look, I mean, if anybody who knows that movie, it's a very, very sad ending, especially if you're a Pooch lover. So,
Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, yeah. And the dog saves his life. Spoilers, but it was made in the 80s, so you should watch it by now. But yeah, so I think where I view animals on Necromunda, it's more about how you include them in their gang and what they bring to the characters that are already in your gang. From a lore perspective, like, once we start talking plagues and all the rest of the things, like plagues of animals, I mean, not things like the Mortis plague. That's a different way of looking at the lore, and with this new way of playing Necromunda with 5,000 credits or something, you could just have a plague of giant rats swarming a hive, 5,000 creds worth of giant rats that your gang's got to survive against.
Honestly, they'd take down most gangs with just sheer weight of attacks.
Yeah. That'd be a wicked fight, though.
That's 100 rats. 5,000 creds. A Necromunda giant rat is 50 creds per rat.
Yeah. So that would be really cool. And they just like swarm the battlefield and they just go for it. They just like you would let the other gang know, look, you're going to be taking on 100 giant rats. Bring your flamethrowers and your blast weapons.
What you do, and I'm just derailing this whole I know already. You'd model them in groups of 10, right? With one of them being like obviously much bigger, and that's your rat champion. Okay, hear me out. And then because you got that 6-inch activation, also just rewinding that Apocrypha Necromunda that was released, the whole gang wars. The internet hated it. I want to make an official statement here that Underhive Lorekeepers loves this. Like,
we do.
As soon as it was released, I called Nathan and I'm like, okay, you need to shut up and read this. And immediately it's like, we can do 5,000 points worth of this. It's like, how many orcs can we fit in 5,000 points and
Exactly.
do at a raid on the skull? But
Yeah.
anyway, so you go back. Yeah, we love it. Just play it. Just play it.
Mm.
Do 1 out of 10 as like a king rat because you do have that 6-inch activation. You're activating 10 rats at a time.
Yeah, that's sick.
Oh,
And then do you know what? And I'm joining you on the derail. You make your king rat like a skaven. So like a half rat, half human type thing. So it's actually like a little beastmaster rat. There's nothing special about him, but just on the tabletop, yeah, that's the king rat, and he's got a whip or whatever, or he's got like a piece of cheese on a stick, and he just like throws that stick at the opposition, and then, they all swamp that one ganger.
okay. Gang idea.
Gang idea.
Because up to 25% of your gang can be someone from a different gang, right?
Yes.
So your main gang is actually the rats, all right?
Yeah.
Then you use just enough points to have a single corridor and arm him with like a club, but model it as a flute.
Yes, bro. Yes.
The Pied Piper of Primus. Okay, I'm going to write this scenario and I'm going to have it out as soon as possible. I want someone to playtest the Pied Piper of Primus mission for me.
Yes.
You need 99 rats and a single corridor versus 5,000 points of whatever you've got. And I want responses, people. I need to know what is going on here because I think that'd be it. Just can you just imagine like the gun line of just because eventually you're going to run out of ammo.
100%. Imagine when you fail that ammo check with your, I don't know, grenade launcher, and you're like, oh, no, not on the first roll. I need this, baby. I need this thing to work. Or like any weapons that
All
have
I've got left is my stub gun.
Oh, dude, imagine that. You're relying on, X bits of weapon. You're like, oh, you got an Ashways gang with a missile launcher. You're like, yes, I got my big giant frag missile. I'm going to mess this up. This is going to be awesome. And then first roll. Nah, buddy, you bought one round. That was it. Oh, the terror. The terror of fighting that.
Pray to your gods, human.
Yeah. Let's switch it back to the actual episode, and a flip to it.
The Pied Piper of Primus is coming. I promise you all. I actually have a miniature here that I could use as no. We're talking about the fauna of Necromunda. Now we're going to do this alphabetically. So please, if we have missed something, message it through to us, and we can quickly blame Nathan for not being able to do his letters correctly. And we will ensure to slot it into the next one. But Nath, we have first up, we have the Ambull. So why don't you take that one for us?
Let me just amble into this one. You're welcome. An Ambull is a massively built, roughly humanoid Xenos creature with an insect-like armored carapace and oversized arms tipped with iron-hard claws. Their pronounced haunch stance lowers their true height greatly, but when fully upright with claws stretched overhead, they can easily reach 4 meters in height. Ambulls are extremely hardy and long-lived social creatures, usually forming close-knit family units with several adults tending to broods of 4 to 7 offspring. They are also natural tunnelers with eyes sensitive to the faintest light, even into the infrared spectrum, and claws that can excavate through soft rock and earth at alarming speeds. Ambull communal tunnels and caverns can stretch for many kilometres underground, forming a vast network of what can appear to the unwary as safe havens from threats above the ground.
We should have mentioned earlier, we wanted this to be a little bit of a shorter than normal episode because obviously Nathan and myself are under a lot of pressure to get everything ready for Arcramunda. But
faith in Nath.
Yeah, faith in Nath. No. And then he goes and reads something like that where you just have quite possibly the most heavy metal description for a giant bug ever. The thing is over 4 meters tall, lives in family groups, and can just tunnel through whatever they want. Um, this
I'll
is
tell you
terrifying.
now. I'll tell you now. A scenario writes itself for this. Going to capture an Ambull young to raise to use in
Oh,
a gladiator pit. I don't want to. Like, we've got to talk about the Ambull, but I just first thing that popped into my head was
oh
that.
man, moving into a central nest location to grab
Yes.
eggs,
Yeah.
and then no one attacks you. You're fighting each other as well as trying to get these eggs. So you're trying to get there not to wake up the Ambulls, but the moment someone
Bro.
picks up that first egg,
Yeah.
boom, roll a scatter dice, whatever direction comes through,
Yeah.
Ambull smashes out. And it, like it says there, they live in close knit family units of several adults,
Yeah.
tending to broods of 4 to 7 offspring. So
Mm.
let's say several is, let's just say 4.
So 4. Yeah, it's a
Or
nice number.
let's say they've got 1 offspring each, or they're,
Mm.
2 mating pairs with 2
Mm.
offspring each. That's 6
Mm.
Ambulls.
Mm.
That is horrific. They can come from any direction at any time.
Yes. Yes.
So from the
Oh,
center, roll a
mm.
scatter, roll 2d6,
Mm.
and an amble comes out in that
Just
direction.
roaring, or just tunnels
Oh,
up
yes,
from under you, just
yes.
like bump. Yeah, they're from what we read here. They're like just an over the top aggressive termite in a much smaller number than what you'd expect from
They
termites.
kind of
Obviously,
look like a termite.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But
Uh,
let's. I want to come back to this.
yeah.
I know, I've derailed us twice so far,
We
but
need someone to test this scenario for
yeah.
it. Well, Ambles are great, and a lot of people will actually bring up. We know there are ambots on Necromunda, not necessarily ambles. And you're absolutely right, there are ambots on Necromunda, but there are also ambulls. Back in 2019, Games Workshop released the rules to use the ambles and the ballworm infestations in games of Necromunda. Now, these things were monsters. Nathan, each of these adult Ambulls has 7 wounds, a 6-inch movement, a 3+ weapon skill, and 4 attacks. By the way, it has infiltrate, is unstoppable, and its chitin armor is a 3+ armor save.
I know who can take that down.
Also, it's all its attacks are strength 6, AP -3, and damage 2. So
Yeah.
it's literally punching you with like heavy bolters.
It's got heavy bolter digi weapons.
Heavy bolter digi weapons.
You know what? I'm signing up Gumple the Scabby Juve to take on this. He's got it, mate.
With his bolt gun.
With his bolt gun and his bad attitude. That's all he needs.
Um,
That is a disgustingly brutal profile. Oh my word! As I've mentioned a million times before, I love the idea of like high pressure situations on the gaming table. That itself, that one model creates a high pressure gaming situation where you're like, if that gets anywhere near any of my gangers, it's all over Red Rover. Plus, on top of that, how do I even start to kill it?
it's not even just gangers. GW, when they released it, made a little scenario where they put it up against 2 ambots. Now, if you've ever gone up against an ambot, they're not fun to go up against. Those things are tough and they will just ruin your day. But the Ambull takes down 2 ambots just casually. It just absolutely smashes them to bits. So imagine what this thing is going to do against gangers. Now, like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and I love it. I love it.
You, unless you're jumping on it with multiple gang members, you're not standing a chance. I don't care how brilliant your corpse grinder leader is or your Goliath, jacked up leader is. They are going to get pummeled by this thing unless they've got everything rolling in the right direction for them.
But the fact it's infiltrate, the fact that effectively can just deploy anywhere, it really plays into that concept of it's a tunneler, and on a place like Necromunda, everything can be tunneled through. Now, some cool background information on the Ambull. Most imperial xenologists believe the species evolved in the deserts of the distant death world of Luther McIntyre 9 in the Segmentum Tempestus. And basically, Ambulls just live underground, and all of their food lives underground. And so they just charge their way through and get in there to go, hey, your dinner today. Nothing can stop these things. They are the apex predator. And there's a really cool instance in one of the Caiaphas Cain novels. This is probably one of my absolute favorite series of novels done, and it is basically these Valhallans find a bunch of Ambulls on this planet, and they're just like, Ambulls aren't supposed to be on an ice world, and these things are insane. They just rip and tear, and obviously it's all because of Necrons. And yeah, Sandy Mitchell, when describing the Ambulls, just does an amazing job and really lets them live up to that terror that they would be bringing, and the concept of an Ambull, like, because you can get the card. The information is right there, released by Games Workshop. Now, imagine doing, here's a gang idea, an outcast
Too
gang
early in the episode for
led,
this, but go on.
led by an Ambull as your leader. And it's a cult of people who, for some reason, the Ambull isn't killing, and they worship it as this living personification of their tunnel god. And their whole shtick is to kill and feed their master, because if they failed, the Ambull eats one of them.
Yes. So African lions, right? They operate in, what do they call, not a herd, a pack, a
Right.
pride. They operate in a pride. But what happens is when the head male is displaced from that pride, it then becomes basically like a loner, and those were the ones that hunted down humans. So that's where I would see the because they needed to eat. You know, so that's what the Ambul's done. It's been rejected from its own cluster, and so then goes out there, starts killing humans. But the humans realize, well, if we can feed the Ambull, then we can actually keep it on our side. So they're just constantly working to kill others and capture others. So one of your things to sort of role play your game would be to try and take as many prisoners as possible. And then as soon as you get them, you don't do anything other than kill them and feed them to the Ambull.
Boss eats them.
The boss
Oh,
eats them. Yeah.
but that's a great idea, where an adult Ambull has somehow either been detached from its family group, or is the only survivor of its family group. And
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
sort of hunting through your campaign. This would be a great, arbitrator tool where, this, old Scarface, the Ambull, is just in there. Especially if you're doing, what is it, what's the tunnel one called? There's like a Sector Mechanicus and
Escapes me. The Mechanicus.
yeah, I don't know. The ones where you're fighting in the tunnels. I'm going to remember it in
Yeah.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
You're like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You're playing in those tunnels, and just your arbitrator just puts in this Ambull and just scatter dice movement in whatever direction. And whoever it comes up against is just unlucky.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. You just have to live with it. That's the pain of it. But it was just jumping back to the lore of them very quickly. I do like that, and you can, in our research, they're quite immune to mutation as well. So, I mean, when you look at the miniature or the artwork for it, you're like, well, to be honest with you, it looks pretty mutated to begin with. But there is this underlying thing that they are quite resistant to forms of mutation, whether or not that be from their environment, or also potentially from chaos mutation as well. So they really are sort of a pure creature that is just going about its business, which is it's interesting, because they are, for me, they seem semi-sentient. So it goes against, I guess, imperial policy that they're still kicking on. They should be wiped out because they are a Xenos race. But I guess if they are considered just part of, like, just the beasts of the land, then I guess they're not building cities or anything. So I guess the
No.
Imperium would probably give them a bit of a wide berth. They just go, yeah, well, mate, they're never going to be a threat like, the Eldar or the Tau might be. Yeah.
See, it's interesting because I'm pretty sure it was in the Caiaphas Cain novels. It's mentioned that some people thought they would be an interesting substitute as a ready source of protein in the Imperium of Man instead of Grox.
Yeah, right.
Grox, which are just, in my opinion, one of the most insane creatures of all. But we're talking about Ambulls. And
yes, we'll get to the G section.
But people were like, yeah, what we'll do is we'll round up a bunch of Ambulls and we will domesticate them and we'll breed them. And I think we'll just use them as a meat source. And so people would put them in pens and forget that they just tunnel. And they're like, oh, we'll put them on top of rock, it'll be fine. And they just tunnel straight through the rock. And all of a sudden, your planet has an infestation of Ambulls.
Yeah, because their breeding rate is high too.
Yeah, well, they're pumping out multiple, children at a time.
Yeah.
And then all they need to do is hang out underground in these, as you said, these cave, tunnel and cavern networks that can stretch for kilometers. And, they will just bust out of wherever they want to attack the unwary. Like, we said it at the beginning, scenarios write themselves.
Oh, but absolutely they do. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm going to need to source an Ambull model, and then obviously a bunch of the boreworm infestations as well. And yeah, we're going to have some fun with those.
Yeah, they're such an awesome part of the lore because, as we've already discovered, there's so much we can do with them in terms of exploring campaign. But they give you a sense of, they're for use of them like a non-invasive species. They come in. Yes, they set up their own territory and they're aggressive and they kill and they hunt and they're carnivorous and so forth. But they aren't necessarily a plague. And we did mention that they obviously have incredibly high birth rates as well. So they can, in a small cluster, become quite dangerous. But they're not. It's not like they're going to overpopulate a region or overpopulate a planet because there's only so much they can do in terms
only so
of
much food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're gonna run out, which is it's interesting to think what their food source is. Like, obviously, if they're carnivorous, they are hunting down humans or whatever species is on the planet.
Everything and anything. Like, if you're an Ambull and Necromunda, your diet will consist of everything from Goliath steaks to Kord or shish kebab. Like, whatever unfortunate individual comes past you is lunch.
Yeah, right. So they're sort of, in my mind, they work a little bit like, and I've read earlier that they burst out of the ground to grab their foe, but I also like to think of them working like a trapdoor spider. So somebody's just walking past, just like shoop, snatch him in.
It's holding like a torn down bulkhead, and it's like, I wonder what's around there. Yoink.
Yoink, gotcha. Honey, got dinner.
Where did Steve go? Where is Steve? There's just this boot.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we can't leave Steve though.
We can't leave Steve. No, Steve's gone. No. Sorry, Steve. But moving on from Ambulls,
okay,
we're going to go something a little different with this next one. And this actually comes to us all the way from back in the Outlanders rulebooks. This is some N95 stuff. And that is the Ash Clam. Now, one of the strangest creatures to inhabit the lower reaches of hives such as Necromundas. How they came to be there is a complete mystery. However, it is known that they inhabit the ash waste beyond the walls of the hive. In the desolation of the Underhive, they reside under the dirt and rubble that litters the floors. Extremely sensitive to vibrations, they will instinctively open their shells when disturbed, swallowing down the debris and anything else above it. The clams will attempt to eat any living thing that enters their shell, though a person is much too big for them. Nonetheless, it can be very frustrating for the victim as they become trapped by their ankle in a vice-like grip. And woe be to any unlucky underhiver who finds himself so trapped in an isolated region of the hive with no one to help.
They sound delicious.
Honestly, I kind of want to eat an ash clam.
Yes.
Because you know they're going to basically be fed on free range underhivers.
Yeah. Or anything like anything that comes in there, they're just like bottom feeders, cleaners of the hive, mate. They would be succulent.
But it's genuinely terrifying. This
Yeah.
concept of like this living bear trap.
Yeah.
That's just like,
That's
yep,
exactly
just
what it is.
walking along. It just
Yeah.
clamps down your ankle. And it's just like, oh, I am in some trouble. Like,
Yeah.
what sort of, like, 'cause if you look at, there's some pictures here of what an ash
Mm.
clam would look like. Now, what sort of pressure is that thing clamping down on your ankle? Can you slip your leg out between the boot?
Yeah.
Can you get a pole in there and sort of try and lever it open?
They would have
Or
like hard shells on them as well because
yeah,
they're in Necromunda. So, and from what you read, they're native to. Well, I mean, they don't know how they came to there, but they seem like they've adapted themselves to Necromunda. You know what I mean? Are they
yeah.
just a very low form tyrannid?
Well,
Dust to mouth.
man, it's the hive mind really screwed up when it
Yeah,
made
just
these things.
just went. Look, let's send something to Necromunda. Just look, mate, I've made these. Just give them a go. Those little
But
chompy things.
it's literally just this concept of this horrific giant clam that, yeah, it literally is a bottom feeder. Anything
Mm.
that goes into it, it's just going to try and digest.
Mm.
And like, if you are the unlucky bastard that gets your leg in there,
Yeah.
like, if you're running from someone, your gang's looking at you being like, listen, sorry, bro. We
Yeah.
are out of here. Hopefully we see you later.
We've got an Ambull baby. We're on the run. You need to take care of yourself because the Ambull baby's a handful enough.
Yeah. And meanwhile, this Ambul's just looking at you like, I'll come back for you.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're fine. So a couple of things about this. Firstly, from a gaming sense, anybody who has any traps in their gangs, when your trap is
Man,
activated,
yeah.
just tell your opponent it's a ash clam. Just be like, you got done by an ash clam, mate. You might have got out of it, you might have something, but you got done by an ash clam.
Well,
It's embarrassing.
you know the rules for like the enforcers when they hit you with the magnicals and they like get them on there.
Mm.
Roll you've been grabbed by an ash clam on this trap. Roll a I don't know d6, and if that d6 is less than your strength, you've gotten out. But if it's not, you're stuck there. You can't move. You're also stuck facing the direction you're in.
Yeah, the facing
you can't really turn.
Like you get a chance to get out of it every turn. Like when
every
your
turn.
activation comes,
Roll that strength.
see if you can kick the jaws open.
Yeah, so you're really rolling for what the strength of the ash clam is, not what your strength is. You just want it to be less than yours, which I think would be a really easy mechanic to sort of pull in is this is what my trap does. And it's a mechanic we already know exists because of, the enforcers.
And there's traps. There's traps in the game.
And there's traps.
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to get across is just humiliate your opponent a little bit more and just be like, your gang got eaten by a clam. What a fool.
Yeah. Like, imagine stepping onto a giant thing that is looking like a trap and not thinking, this might be a trap. You dummy.
You silly McSillystein. The other thing as well, this highlights the fact that they could be farming these.
They would be. They would be.
Then why are they making corpse starch? They're just taking the easy way out. They should have clam chowder 24/7 available on Necromunda.
Yeah, but what water are you going to use in it?
They should have clam steaks 24/7 available on Necromunda.
you know, there's going to be some part of the hive where it's literally going to be in a book that's released next month, and it's be like, yeah, our particular hive, the primary source of protein is clam steaks.
Yeah.
Which once again, it's going to be like, okay, we look like idiots. Everything about this episode is wrong. Sorry, there's no Ambulls on Necromunda,
Yeah.
and everyone eats clam steaks.
You fools.
You dummy dum-dums.
See, if I was having a game, I'd be like, once per month in your campaign, you're like your what is it? Your maintenance costs for your gangs go down because they've hit on a stash of clam steaks, and you get like a little bonus to your leadership or something. And cool.
Oh, okay. Mission idea. You model up some ash clams and you put them somewhere on your board, but make sure it's where you can get shot really easily. And then you can do a double action when one of your gang members gets in contact with them to harvest. And you will actually harvest by the end of that turn a single sort of serving of clam. So if you have a slopper, your slopper will cook up a batch of clam chowder, and make it add like +2 to the roll to make a ganger instead of missing that round of missing that game. They come back earlier, or you can give it to someone, and if they get a flesh wound or 2 flesh wounds, they can eat this clam steak, and it takes off 2 flesh wounds because it's delicious clam.
Yes, cool. Yeah. But what I would have with that, whoever uses it, roll 1d6. On a roll of 1, shellfish allergy.
Instantly sculled.
Instantly
sculled. You're immedately out of the game, but you don't experience a severe injury later on. It's just shellfish allergy. You start coughing or you vomit or something. You're just like, nah, listen, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Literally just a fun piece of, just nonsense you can do in your games from this thing that's been around since the Outlanders book.
Yeah. Well, I guess we better move on to our next bit of fauna.
This was supposed to be a quick episode.
Yeah, it was supposed to be. This one was actually really hard to find information about. Mainly just to the optics of it. The blind snake. So the blind snake is a poisonous albino snake native to the underhives of Necromunda. And here we get to mention the cool gang. Rat skin tribes capture blind snakes in order to extract their venom for use in the making of blind snake pouches, which they believe to be powerful good luck charms. Cool.
It's just another cool piece of sort of old lore that I love this sort of stuff because it's like it's a nothing throwaway line. It came back from that original Necromunda rulebook, and it's just this is what the rat skins do with it, and they take the venom and they end up turning it into blind snake pouches. And this was a cool piece of equipment back in the old Necromunda, where it sort of gave them this weird sixth sense, where the actual poison and the mixture that was inside these pouches, basically you wore them against your skin and it somehow leached into your body. It was sort of, it was like a little fetish that guarded you against bad spirits and sort of, the evils that lived underneath the sun or in the underhive, because it wasn't just poison. It was fungi and herbs, and it was worn against yourself to really protect you from everything. And I think it's just a great old piece of lore that I personally would just love to see come back.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it just adds that extra element to the rat skins, and like I mean, speaking of things wanting to come back, we'd love to see a return of them. I think they're one of the coolest ideas and gangs, and I know there's probably mate, I think there's some sort of cultural insensitivity around it, but you can still portray them as rat skins without calling them rat skins or whatever the case might be. But look, the blind snake itself is a really cool idea because it tries to give you an understanding of where they would find these snakes. You know what I mean? Which part are they in the ashways? Are they part of the hives? Where are the rat skins needing to go to gather these snakes up? And what size are they? We have no reference to that at all. In my mind, they're probably no bigger than a normal sort of snake. I can't imagine them being some ridiculously large thing if you're able to grind them down and create some sort of pouch from them. But
also, this is Necromunda.
Yeah, I was just about to say. But also, this is Necromunda, so invariably the blind snake is the size of a land raider. Yeah,
it's 19 meters long. It weighs 3.62 tons, and they routinely chew through the sides of the hive because they want to make sunrooms. And you're just like, I'm a milk that thing.
I've got a little pouch. I just want 5% of what you are. Want into this pouch, please.
I need 11 drops because I've got this fun guy and I have to mix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, blind snakes, awesome. Yeah. Blind snake pouches, awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Like both in the game term and just in the sense of there's something that we will touch on in a later episode at some stage of chems and drugs and all that, and that's one of the drugs that is probably not in modern day Necromunda, but
it definitely still exists.
It still exists, but it's not at the hands of the Escher, which is very interesting as well. And that's where I guess a lot of the fauna, there's so much when we talk about the drugs as well. We mentioned in the previous episode about mortars, how Escher are drawing their toxins from the dead bodies, and they also draw from creatures that they're brought into the planet as well. We mentioned that in the Escher episode. I haven't really seen a great deal about what they draw out of the creatures on Necromunda themselves. Yeah. So that's another great thing, I guess, to explore, the Ambull, the Ash Clan, the Blind Snake. What can you actually draw from them to create some sort of toxin, or maybe it might just be like a little bit of pseudo cream or something for a little bit of an itchy itch. That's what you get out of the Ambull. Who knows?
I now really want someone to do an Escher gang called the Blind Snakes and have all of their clothing painted in different snake skin patterns.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, that is for a painter much better than me.
Right. Now you can slap chop that. That'd be easy.
I screwed up base coating today, so yes. Next up here, we have carrion bats. Now, immense colonies of carrion bats blanket the ceilings of tunnels in the underhives of Necromunda. An immense black wall of squealing, writhing, winged beasts pouring out of a tunnel can be a terrifying sight to the unwitting underhiver who disturbs them. But these bats are not generally predatory by nature, preferring to scavenge the remains of animals killed by larger beasts. Nonetheless, they are feared by the residents of Necromunda, and rightly so. Their carrion diet ensures that their bite can carry a wide variety of virulent diseases, included the dreaded zombie plague. You guys can all guarantee, and I promise you all now, these are making an appearance in our Hive Mortis campaign.
Oh, they absolutely have to.
Nothing says Mortis like going down the wrong tunnel, pissing off a whole bunch of carrion bats, and your whole gang getting infected with the zombie plague.
Yes. That's a very cool idea of that could be just even an out of game experience that you can have. So rather than you're doing an exploration with your gang or something around Mortis, and then you've stumbled on a bat cave, and X amount of your gang members have been bitten. But I like the fact that they're not considered actually a predatory type of beast, which is cool. It's again, this is what I love about the fauna side and the beast sides of Necromunda is so much of Necromunda is about really over the top aggression and things that are hunting other things or things that are killing other things in a very predatory type manner. Where most of the fauna that we're talking about here is just simply reacting to stuff that's going on inside of its environment. Except obviously the blind snake, which is being hunted down. So the idea that the carrion bats are just growing and amassing, and surely they would have to exterminate them at some stage as well. So
But could you?
you
Like,
would have to.
genuinely, could you? Like, they're bats. They would live in the hidden caves, and they'd live in the roofs of domes and tunnels. Like, you'd never be able to find them all.
No, I'm not saying about all of them, but like say if you've got an area of your hive that is just renowned for do not go over there because the carrion bats are god awful. They're like for our Australian listeners who would be very aware of this, swooping magpies. You know,
Yeah,
it's god awful. Like they'll annoy you, they might bite you, whatever, and then you get turned into a zombie, and then the redemptionist comes down, and causes the thing. Um, so, but what I'm saying is like they would have to try and exterminate them. They sound like more out of all the great creatures we've read about, they're more like a pest type creature that would just annoy you in your part of the hive.
you know what would be cool to see? If someone did a Cawdor or Redemptionist gang based in Hive Mortis,
Mm.
and instead of sheen birds,
Yeah.
used carrion bats, because the rules would effectively just copy across.
Yeah.
But yeah, instead of these biomechanical birds, have just a bunch of whopping big, like, vampire bats, basically.
Mm.
You guaranteed you'd be able to find some cool bat miniatures somewhere
Mm.
from GW. Like, does the Vampire Counts Rage have any?
Oh, there was
Oh, that's going
undead
back to
bats a very long time ago. I don't know anymore now. I know definitely when you had vampire counts and so forth, there was definitely bats within it, but they weren't really like they weren't very sort of putrid looking. They just looked like creatures of the night, which I guess the carrion bats are that. They're carrion bats because of the way they feed.
Yeah,
So
all they eat is bodies. Like,
yeah.
yeah, there's the fell bats.
Hmm.
Although those things are monstrously large,
Yeah.
I'd allow it. I would 100% allow it and be like, they are monsters. Yeah, okay, no. Cawdor gang, based in Hive Mortis,
Hmm.
carrion bats. Those fell bats are tasty options in that regard.
Do you know what's coming to memory now? Actually, is the old bat swarms. There were bat swarms, and they were very, very cool. So rather than have the 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 miniature represented by a single miniature, you have it represented by a swarm of bats just
Yeah,
going over them, just picking the
perfect.
target. Yeah, so they are again, as I like these type of creatures that we talk about because um they're not overly aggressive species, and they're also something that is adapted to within Necromunda. Again, we've got to ask a question though, and we'll probably ask it on every single one, and it's definitely pertinent for the next one. Are they a native species to Necromunda? Are they
Carrion
something?
bats?
Yeah.
No, no.
I reckon they're
I
everywhere.
truly believe, much like spiders, rats, and disgusting, disgusting democracy, it's something that humanity brought with them everywhere they went from
Yeah, right.
era.
Do you know
Uh,
when you say humanity brings them, imagine like a space hulk or a cruiser or whatever with carrion bats inside the hull. That's cool. That's a great idea.
Lieutenant, what happened to your face? Attacked by carrion bats coming out of the mess hall today, sir. That'll
Never
happen.
again. Yeah, yeah, that'll happen. I mean, it's great that they're there. We use them as food, and they use us as food. It's just symbiotic.
It's the perfect life cycle, really.
Yeah. Well, I did already mention it, and I guess we'll throw into them
Oh,
the the mighty Caryatid.
this is what the people have been waiting for.
Caryatids are small, winged, blue humanoid creatures which infest the many air ducts and vents throughout Necromunda's hives in great numbers. Caryatid are seen as good luck charms by many hivers, as they tend to attach themselves to charismatic, powerful and successful individuals. For example, very successful gang leaders and their henchmen are often attended by several Caryatids, and Necromunda's planetary governor, Lord Helmore, is known to have at least one named Blinky. Good old Blinky. Mildly psychic, they are particularly attracted to the soon to become powerful and can penetrate human minds, usefully recognizing malicious intentions against their companions and sometimes even fighting alongside those they latch onto. Although they are a sign of good fortune of those they adopt, an individual whose pet Caryatid leaves them is regarded as waiting for death, as the departure is seen as something of a bad omen. Caryatid's blue skin is generally covered by intricate tattoo-like patterns, and some are known to paint their faces, such as Lord Helmore's, and wear bracelets, bangles, anklets, and earrings. As well as fighting with small auto weapons, they have also been seen to carry light sources such as candles. Huh. Helpful little buggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. They should not be confused with the artificially constructed cherubim, sometimes used as familiars by psychic inquisitors, which are also sometimes seen in the Underhive, although it is less clear if they are related to other small winged humanoids found elsewhere in the Imperium, such as those which ring bells and bear incense in the Imperial Palace. Take it away, Sam.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack with this. Now, firstly, I want to talk about the question you asked before, which was, are a lot of these beasts native to Necromunda? Now, as far as I'm aware, we don't have Caryatids here on Earth. So I'm assuming that we probably haven't taken them with us to Necromunda. Necromunda also seems to be the only place they are mentioned. So as far as we are aware, Caryatids are a native creature to Necromunda.
I go along with this. That's good. Am I leaving the door open for a conspiracy rant here, or?
Oh no, there's going to be a conspiracy rant. It's going to sort of amp itself up now. Caryatids are seen as good luck charms by many hivers, and they tend to attach themselves to charismatic, powerful, and successful individuals. Now, that just skipping past this part here, they're also mildly psychic, and they are particularly attracted to the soon to become powerful and can penetrate human minds, usefully recognizing malicious intentions against their companions and sometimes even fighting alongside they latch onto. All right. Now,
I'm waiting for it.
Caryatids are not a good luck charm.
Right.
Caryatids create the luck. Now, because so many people are under the belief that these, let's be honest, psychic parasites are actually good luck, that reality itself has gestated because of the natural psychic phenomena that is resonating from within Necromundan hives, for example. So we know the Caryatids are psychic. They are able to know what people are doing before they do it. As it says there in black and white, they are able to recognize malicious intentions against their companions. Now, it's seen as a horrible thing when a Caryatid leaves the individual it's attached itself to. So, once again, is this actually what's happening? Is this luck component that they somehow bring with them an actual thing? Or do so many people believe that because, Timmy's Caryatid has left him, all of a sudden he has bad luck? He's had this meteoric rise where this Caryatid or these multiple Caryatids have attached themselves to him. As psychic creatures, remember, aboard the Witch, these tiny little Xenos monstrosities are feeding off the natural psychic energy that an individual gives off and are using it for their own ends. We don't understand what those ends are.
I was about to ask what those ends were.
We
because
don't. We don't.
You've given
right.
a lot of depth to these guys. They went from like, oh, really cool good luck charms to nefarious and sinister
Absolutely, they are.
individuals who like machinations shall never be known, working on the deep dark depths of the politics of hives and gangs and even houses.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Like we look at them where they they latch on. They are there. They're a parasitic psycho entity where why are they attaching themselves to these individuals? Why are they all of a sudden around people and their luck is affected? The only other instance I can think of through many years of Games Workshop lore and background um, was the Afriel strain, where the Adeptus Mechanicus biologists attempted to take the DNA of various heroes from throughout Imperial history and clone the perfect soldier. Was it the Afriel strain? Um,
I know they were clone soldiers, but I don't know if they were actually. I don't think
yeah,
they
no,
were
no,
made as the perfect soldier, were they?
yeah. I believe it was the Afriel strain because, and it was stuff like, various living saints, Lord Solar Macarius, all
Really?
of their DNA was combined to create these soldiers, and they were these soulless albino, like, think they were all amazing soldiers, but they were albinos. They with like the alabaster skin, the pale hair, the colorless eyes. There were two of them in the Last Chances novel Last Chances novels. Fantastic.
Yeah,
But
right.
they were universally seen as having the worst bad luck of anyone because
All
they were
right.
this thing that was created and they were soulless. My understanding is they were soulless. And I believe this may be what the um, what the Caryatids are. They are an instance of
Right.
possibly genetic and psychic manipulation. Because you know how it mentions the likeness to the cherubim that
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you do randomly see. We know a lot of those are created by the ecclesiarchy and the
yeah.
Adeptus Mechanicus. Um, what's to say that the Caryatids aren't some sort of dark age of technology manipulation, possibly even as early as the Arrhenius continuity,
Mm.
that they were attempting to maybe create a weapon where it would it would actively influence the luck and ability of those around them. And when the continuity has fallen, these things have escaped into the hive where, it says they live in
They live in the air ducts
they
and
live in
the
air
vent.
ducts and tunnels
Uh,
and vents, and all of a sudden they just pop out, you know. And the first couple of times it happened, people were like, "Oh yeah, you got a Caryatid, that's good luck." And then the second time it was good luck, but then all of a sudden someone loses one and just happens to die soon after, and it's, oh no, he died because his Caryatid left him. And it becomes another one of those things where it's just like it's not actually why he died. He died because he picked a fight with four Goliath in a pub, and all he had was a rusty spoon. Um,
the Caryatid was just like, I'm not getting involved in this.
I'm
This
not
is
getting involved in this. You know what he's like when he's drinking. I'm out of here. Um,
I
that's what's
don't
actually happened. But this
know.
story has perpetuated itself, and it's grown and it's grown and it's grown, and that is why caryatids are actually having the effect on people. It's this mass hysteria that we know that faith in the emperor,
Yeah.
praise be upon him, can, if you have enough faith, you can have living saints where people have woken up from wounds and who have ignored damage and all that sort of thing. Is there a
You're saying,
chance
go on, sorry.
is there a chance that this is what the caryatids are? They are simply the almost personification of faith and belief in a lie that has
And that's
somehow created its own truth.
So it's manifesting
It is
because
manifested into
it's
an
manifested
empty
itself.
truth.
Yeah, okay. So people are like, Caryatid rocks up, I'm destined for good luck. And
Yep.
so you could have other people around that particular champion or gang leader or whatever saying, well, they now have a Caryatid and
Yep.
they've come to get ammunition from me. Well, I'm going to give them the ammunition, maybe just give it to them or do it free of cost because they're going to rise up the ranks because the Caryatid's with them.
He's got to remember that I
They-
gave him that
Yeah,
ammunition.
yeah. So you begin people. What is it? The old saying of like hitching your wagon to these people and going.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so that is how the manifestation of good luck comes about.
Yes.
And then
I don't
consequently,
trust them. I do not trust them.
right? Okay.
And now we've suckered in the audience, and they're like, these guys like talking about law. No, it's all been building towards this, baby. I
It's a
do not
Caryatid
trust
book.
these things. These Caryatids, these flying little blue winged monster babies, all
Yep.
right? They're plotting something.
Righty oh. So once they get bored with their target, they boot off,
They
and
boot off
everybody
because
else around them goes, "Oh, we are not going to give you that free box of ammunition, or we're not going to follow you into battle, or we're not going to provide you with support because you've lost your Caryatid, because that
exactly.
Caryatid can sense your demise." Right, I see what you're saying. I think probably you're wrong, but that's okay.
Well, think about it this way. Do you remember in that rulebook episode we talked about Blinky, who was the favoured Caryatid
Mm,
of Gerontius Helmore, our
mm,
beloved planetary governor,
mm,
and that this Caryatid, who had hitched his wagon to the
mm,
most powerful being in the
mm.
Necromundan system. Quite honestly, I believe one of the most powerful planetary governors in the entirety of the Imperium,
Righto,
and
yep.
has more staff than at Helmore's blood children. And that when challenged, entire houses knew that if they were even considered to be offending Blinky, they were at risk. Why do you think this little psychic miscreant has attached himself to Helmore? Helmore obviously wasn't too lucky because a murder robot stabbed him several times. All right?
Yes. So what do you think? Blinky's just like, oh yeah, I've got something to
Blinky's in on it.
do.
All right? The
Blinky's
entire Aranthian succession. No, I'm not going that far.
yeah,
I think Caryatids, there's so much more, and it's all been left in classic Games Workshop style. So unknown. We know all these things about them, and I don't think they are real. I think they are most likely artificially created. They remind me a lot of
right.
the familiars from Gene Stealer Cult, where they
Mm,
just seem to materialize out of the pure psychic energy of the forming brood mind.
yeah, okay.
Where Caryatids, I think the luck that's attributed to them and the status that they seem to get within the
Mm,
Underhive is because of a misshapen and almost reinforced misbelief as to
mm.
what they really are. And
Which
it would
we obviously don't know what they really are,
no,
and that sort of leads to the question of if you believe that they are nefarious and they're not actually there in a sort of, I guess, a natural sense, that they're simply existing and they just find themselves attached to greatness and fleeing from gang leaders or leaders who are about to go on the way out. So if there is that to them, that they have some sort of sentience about who they are, then what's their reason for that? Why are they actually um, creating these? Why did Lord Helmore get stabbed when Blinky should have been ringing the alarm bells? You know
well,
what I mean?
we know he has at least two, Blinky
Hmm.
and Rex.
Yeah.
So we know for fact that Helmore has at least 2 Caryatids, and if they're such good luck,
Mm.
how did he almost get assassinated?
Yeah, right.
You
So do you
know,
think there's an overarching, like a hive mind behind the Caryatid?
I wouldn't necessarily say hive mind, but I believe
Mm.
that they know a lot more than they're letting on.
See, I like to think of it as that that they were created, and I've only come up with this idea since what you've spoken about there. They were created, um, for whatever means I don't know, but a long time ago their creator died, and they
Ooh,
basically have the way they procreate, for use of a better term, is that the more psychers that are present, the more Caryatid become present. So it's like a
ooh,
psychic battery.
almost feeding into a
Yeah,
psychic battery.
yeah. That, like, once it's fully charged, boop, there you go. You got yourself a Caryatid. And they would be of all varying different levels of psychic ability. Um, and from that is why they only show up here and there, and they particularly attach themselves. Well, they wouldn't necessarily, from what you're saying, for going down your pathway of logic, is that they wouldn't necessarily be attaching themselves to somebody who's successful. They're attaching themselves to an environment or a scenario or a person where they think it's going to be successful, and then that creates that I guess mob psychic energy.
Well, here's another example of why you're wrong.
Righto.
The other named caryatid we have is Styx. Styx is the caryatid companion of Aethera Sabine, the bodyguard and sister of the matriarch primus of House Escher, Adina Sabine. All right. So this caryatid hasn't attached itself to little Timmy down on his luck.
Mm,
It's attached itself to someone in the constant present of greatness,
hmm
someone who is actively able to show their value as a companion, showing that the foretellings that caryatids are apparently known for in protecting the life of one of the, let's be honest, 7 most important people on the planet.
Or that Caryatid has attached themselves to the future matriarch.
So, are you assuming that Aethera is going to turn against?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, why why would the Caryatid not attach itself to somebody who is going to become a house ruler, a clan house ruler? Maybe there's something in the future that.
Well, we know that Aethera is her sister's proxy, or assigned champion when it comes to fights of honor and contests, that sort of thing. There.
Yeah.
So if you argue honor against House Escher, and you're basically saying, "Hey, Adina, I disagree with you." Well, you can face my champion. My champion
Well,
just happens to have this caryatid.
yep.
You're going to see the caryatid and immediately think, "I've made a critical error."
Yeah. Well, there you go. But Athena has it. I'm saying that she potentially could become the new matriarch of House Escher, and that's why the Caryatid is hatched. So that on one side of the logic, it is that the Caryatid is attaching itself to somebody who's destined for greatness, and your side of the logic says that she is become so powerful and great because people are recognizing the Caryatid and going, no, 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 I'm not getting involved in this fight, or I've already lost this fight even before it's begun.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, I like to think that potentially going to see the change of leadership within House Escher.
Wow. Wow. That is dangerous talk.
Dangerous talk, and
Um,
reminding people this is a Beasts episode or a Fauna episode.
This is a beast episode, not
Not
a
the
political episode.
political episode.
But now that I've had, I'm assuming about a 20-minute rant about Caryatids. Caryatids are insane, and just the bonuses that they get, like them in game, I think is just fantastic. And
In a game sense, it's brilliant. And just even to be able to get a Caryatid, I think is such a great way to do it. The dice roll required, and
but
and makes it difficult.
Yeah, and it's just so cool in that respect, where it's like, they've been around since back in N95, and they're just such a strange and weird little role play thing that you can throw into a game, and the fact that they've carried over from N95, and that they losing one can have such a huge damage to your gang. Gaining one gets you so much. I mean, if you have a Caryatid, no matter what, your reputation is improved by +1.
Yeah, right. Wow.
And if it is ever killed or should leave you, no matter what, your reputation just drops by 2.
Wow.
Like, but it also helps in so many different ways. Like, it's I love them, and in game I think they're great, but in lore I do not trust these weird little nudie Rudy blue things. Right? You can't trust them because all they wear is bangles and no pants.
Okay, so this is amazingly, I'm going to be able to talk about the Caryatid at some point. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. That's something I was going to mention about them. The description we get of them and them bouncing around with firing their little auto weapons or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, it's also very strange that they have. It mentions they have auto weapons. That goes back to confrontation. But in modern Necromunda, they actually have a ballistic skill of nothing because they can't shoot at range.
Yes, but see, with that description, I envisage them as tiny little, like, jeweled up, like hoodlums, really, with little auto pistols, way too much bling, definitive clan colors showing in the form of blue, just getting in and around Necromunda, having their own little gang war, the Caryatid gang war within Necromunda. So you've obviously got the clan houses, and then you've got the Caryatid gang war. So. Also, one other thing as well. Who was it? Who's the owner of Styx? What's her name? Aethera. So Aethera, I think Aethera is going to be fine. Just jumping back to that, because I'm sure that her Caryatid is going to stick around.
Yeah, and I get that.
Because his name's Styx.
Yeah, I get
sticks
that.
around. Yes.
You're really happy with that one.
I am, because I thought about it earlier, and then you just talked too much, and I was like, okay, fine, Sam, I'll pretend like I'm not here. That's fine. But the other thing I was going to say as well regarding Caryatid is that they are so iconically gothic and 40k like. The imagery of them, the cherub and so forth, and this is something and it's in Necromunda, and it is just so, like, you see that image, and anybody who knows 40k just goes, yes, that is some relevance to the Imperium within 40k, which is interesting because they're not really that in Necromunda. They're more of a neutral, and they just, I guess, their presence is obviously how they impact things, but for you, I guess, from what we see of them, they are a neutral source. They're not really providing benefit to the Imperials or negating them in any such way. It'll be interesting to see if Caryatids I don't know because I've never actually purchased one for a gang. But can they be bought for outlaw gangs?
Available to any gang leader.
Right.
It is.
Interesting.
They're a rare
Yeah,
15.
yeah, something like that. So
Um,
pretty high dice roll.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's interesting. That means that a caryatid for a chaos gang or a caryatid for a gene stealer gang.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
The particular alignment of a caryatid is a weird concept because, yeah, are they aligning themselves with ash race nomads? Are they aligning themselves with chaos gangs? Like, there's a certain line where it's going, are you aligning yourselves with gene stealer cult gangs? And is that psychic influencing the caryatid, or is the caryatid influencing
Oh,
the brood
right.
mind? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah,
yeah,
right. That's really cool. So the idea that their psychic presence, but is their psychic presence then? Well, I mean, you're saying that they're not really psychic. It's what they generate around them. You know that
that's what I
that
think. Yeah,
yeah. So if they're not really psychic and they're rocking up with the Gene Stealer War Band, they're like, oh, yeah, right, we'll just take you on board. But if they are psychic, surely the Gene Stealer Patriarch would be able to feel that.
and or are they attaching themselves to the patriarch?
Oh, right. And
Are they
then
attaching themselves to his chosen sort of hands?
yeah,
Or
right.
are they saying, hey,
Hmm.
you giant purple Marmaduke, I'm gonna help out your I'm gonna help your brood, I'm gonna help your children
Yeah.
and sort of exert my influence on them to make you go. Yeah, if they're attached themselves to chaos gangs or gene stealer cults or corpse grinder cults, are they assisting in perpetuating the spread of chaos?
Yeah, exactly. So then, but this is what I'm saying. Like from what we see, they are a neutral element. But by attaching themselves to these
How can
aspects,
that be neutral?
how can it be neutral? It can't be. Also, just two very quick points. One, the caryatid that makes it to the ash waste nomads, respect, because there's no
Oh my
hive tunnels
god!
or anything.
Well, there's
Well
tunnels.
done.
There's tunnels going between the hives. Maybe it's just
Maybe he's going down one of them.
you just imagine just popping his head out of like an access point, like a
Yeah.
meerkat, and this ash waste nomad just looking down and be like, okay. He just sort of looks at him, is like, cool. Does a little jingle jangle with the wristy bangle, and jumps up, joins up this ash waste nomad crew, and everyone's just like, um, okay. All of a sudden, they find a convoy that just doesn't happen to have any guards. Like,
I was going to say this almost debunks what you're saying as well, because
mm,
if they add any luck to the ash race nomads, who in my mind would not really have much reference about caryatids, plus also they're not having that.
this
They're
is
not.
supposed to be an
Yeah,
episode about beasts,
yeah.
not Samuel's theories on where the ash waste nomads come from. That is a
You,
whole different episode.
you're just about to be debunked. That's why, because how could they provide luck to a group of people who are just like, what the hell is this flying blue thing with us? Because they would barely know what a caryatid is. And all the transport, um, all the waste transport. What do you call them? The caravans. All the
Yeah,
caravans that they've destroyed wouldn't have caryatids with them
they
because
might.
because those caryatids would know bad juju's coming. They'd be gone. They wouldn't be
Or are
joining that
they
caravan.
going there and they, right before the caravan gets attacked, they flap on away, watch those nomads attack that caravan, and then that nomad's leader all of a sudden has a brand new caryatid friend. They are jumping ship.
No, I'm going to say that means that they've got to get back to their air duct or back to their vents. It's too hard to travel for those little
That's
wings.
that's just where they live. By they crawl on back of that Hellamite, and they're just hitching a ride, buddy.
No way. Look, I for me, you're your caryatid theory is slightly debunked thanks to the ash-based nomads.
My caryatid conspiracy theory is my caryatid conspiracy.
Conspiracy. A caraspiracy.
My caraspiracy.
Caraspiracy is redundant. But one last thing I'll say about the caryatid, in sense of how they look and so forth. We acknowledge there's orc gangs on Necromunda. Yes? Tick a box?
Yes.
Yeah. So, in my mind, that caryatid is a blue flying squeak.
Gang idea.
Gang idea.
Okay, yeah, 100%. I believe that caryatids would attach themselves to orcs. If
They would be
were the
symbols
only-
of Gork and Mork then. They would surely look at them as that. They wouldn't just be like, "Oh, I'm just a bit lucky." Oh no, what's the colour for luck? Is it no? Purple is stealth.
Purple stealth. Luck is blue.
Blue, isn't it? Yeah, because I can't think of the clan
Death
name.
skulls.
Death skulls. Yeah, they're never in out. So they would be. They're blue anyway. Maybe they're manifestations of Gork and Mork. Because why? It would make sense if a caryatid is supporting a leader who's going to become powerful. That's exactly what Gork and Mork would do. And if they're going to become weaker or diminished, Gork and Mork's eye does not fall upon the orc that's going to be thrown to the wayside. It focuses only on the ones that will become more powerful and bigger. These are Gork and Mork. These are orc god creatures. I've said it.
And I thought my conspiracy theory was bad.
It's not bad. It's genius. They're orchitids.
Orchid.
Or Caryatids.
We need to move along.
We
This has been about 30 minutes of caryatids. Well,
and this is officially a caryatid hole, and justifiably
yes, a
so.
literal caryatid hole.
Yeah.
So, moving away from them, next up on the list is going to be the Cyber Mastiff. Now, I know we did say earlier that we were not going to be focusing on anything house specific, but there are generic Cyber Mastiff options. And Cyber Mastiffs are actually a very big part of sort of the pet idea when it comes to 40k in general. And the Cyber Mastiff, sometimes called a Cyber Jackal, and commonly known as a kill dog, a razor fang, and a rending rover, is an imperial robotic or cybernetic construct for use in combat and hunting that is based on the form of large Terran hunting dogs. It generally stands hip high or so to an adult human and over 1 meter long from tip of head to hindquarters. Its lean body composed of high-speed actuators and motor systems over a carbon skeleton and wrapped in angular, interlocking armor plates. Cyber Mastiffs are a fearsome extension of the Emperor's law and a truly terrible sight to see unleashed upon their quarry. It is said that a Cyber Mastiff can rip off even an Ogren's arm in just one snap of its powerful mechanical jaws. Now, Cyber Mastiffs are usually deployed under the control of the Adeptus Arbites, or Arbos, and in planetary enforcer units for hunting down their prey and to catch criminal fugitives attempting to escape planetary or imperial justice. But on some worlds, such as Necromunda, the dogs are actually cyborgs who retain some organic internals, generally muscles and nerves, and on some frontier worlds, Cyber Mastiffs are in fact conventionally bred hounds of Terran genetic descent with armor and controller grafts. Arbos models, on the other hand, are almost completely mechanical, with only the central nervous system using vat-grown or three-dimensional printed organic layers created by Adeptus Mechanicus genitors to take the cortical imprint. Now, obviously, we know the primary sort of user of Cyber Mastiffs on Necromunda is going to be House Orlok. We've all seen them. They're sick. And then you have the
Enforcers?
The enforcers. What are the ones that they call it? It's the hard case cyber mastiffs.
That's right.
Where
The hard case. Yeah.
yeah, they're sick, but everyone can get hacked cyber mastiffs, which are basically your regular cyber mastiff, but someone sort of like put a computer virus in its brain, and it just randomly goes insane and will bite you because you want Fluffy the robo attack dog to just randomly bite you on the leg instead of attacking your enemies.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot about robot dogs.
it is a lot, but there is obviously the obvious takeaway from everything you read there. Can you see it?
Dogs are cooler if they're covered in armor plates.
Rending rovers.
Rending rovers.
That is the best name I've ever seen for them. I didn't know they were ever called that. That is brilliant for them. Rending rovers.
Just imagine Scooby-Doo if he was a cyber mastiff. It's like every time, there's, Shaggy's like, oh, Jinkies, and everyone's running away. Scooby's just like, oh, hold on, rips off the guy's leg, and it just turns out it's the general store owner who would have chased away the big supermarket chain.
Scooby, we could have just taken the mask off. No. I'm a rending rover.
I'm sorry. Am I a kill dog or am I take the mask off dog? Ruh-roh. It's instead of Scooby snacks, it's just human hands.
Or Ogren arms. Have one of these. But back on track with this. They are. I think they're. To include them in our base episode is the right thing, just because they are a commonplace. The dog itself is commonplace, and this is just a way of making it 40k-ish or necromunda-ish or gothic, that it becomes this thing that is infected in a cyber way. Basically you're looking to incorporate technology in them to give them that killer edge more so than anything else. You're not looking. It's not going to be the dog that rolls up on the couch with you.
I like to think that after a hard day of attacking, I don't know, scabbies, you crawl up in the couch in the gang hideout, and Fluffy the killbot jumps up on the couch with you, and he's chewing on the remnants of some poor scabby bastard who was just trying to find a meal, and you're, I'm assuming, eating a fried Grox burger, and it's great, it's lovely. And then Fluffy accidentally nips off one of your fingers, and you learn he doesn't like to be scratched behind his ear like that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. No longer near the audio implant in the back of my head, please. Back off. But it'd be interesting to know exactly what the process would be for selection of the dogs, and then how the technology is implanted. Because are they breeding these dogs? Are they finding particularly angry dogs and going, you would do great with some butcher's nails embedded into your head?
Well, yeah, even if you just look at the Orlock dogs, they're sleek, they're powerful looking dogs. And now you're not they look almost like Rottweilers. I'm probably only seeing that because that's almost how they're painted. You're not going to see like a cyber mastiff made out of a pug, or like a toy poodle.
I would find the pug more terrifying, to be honest. Because that thing's screeching at you as it's coming to have a nibble.
Okay, it is actually more terrifying because it's primarily at genital range. Regular cyber mastiff going through the throat. Pug cyber mastiff, mate, it's ankles and genitals.
Mate, you've got me thinking about different dog breeds as it's like just the cutest little chihuahua with like some sort of implant.
No. Chihuahuas are already like demons from the pit of hell. Can you imagine if you gave them robotic jaws and what was it? How did they describe it? Armor plates.
This has generally got me on the giggles. The idea of a chihuahua with armor plates and a robotic jaw, just going at you.
Gang idea. No.
You know,
I can't.
actually, I've got an idea though, not a gang idea, marketplace idea, right? And it's probably not kosher, but I'm going to say it anyway. A pound. So as part of your
Oh my
Necromunda,
god.
you actually have a little pound there. You can go buy your cyber mastiffs, and it's got a little parrot in the front, and yeah, that'd be cool.
No, see, because Gumple's going to end up buying a cyber mastiff,
Yeah.
and I think he's already lost the bolter. What's he going to do with a robo dog?
Hunt down his bolter.
Down his
Yeah.
bolter.
But clearly, there is a case for an argument to say that the pet industry in Necromunda is thriving then, because we have ferrets,
Yeah.
cats, we have doggies, we have all manner of different types of animals. You know, maybe an
Well,
ambull. Who knows?
we actually also have there's that trader. There's three of them, the Underhive traders, and one of them's holding up like the weird like lizard thing. It's a beast strangler.
That's right.
The beast strangler.
Right. Yes. That's
Like,
from the Book of Outlaw, I think. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
yeah, but it's like it's got the Gyring's cat. It's holding up like the baby Sump Croc, and I'm pretty sure he's wearing Sump Croc. Yeah, Sump Croc boots.
That's right.
I really need
Actually,
to get those.
I need to have a look at him now.
Yeah, I've actually just bought him up now as well, and he's got like a weird little lizard on his collar. Like, there you go. Okay, terrain idea.
Yeah.
I need to build your pound and just have like, just different, like a part of my marketplace that I eventually need to do. Yeah, do adopt a cyber mastiff and just get all the different dog models from throughout Games Workshop.
Yes.
Ooh, I am 90% sure there are some really cool dogs that just came out with those Cities of Sigmar kids.
It's like the hunting pack thing. It was in the Warcry.
The new Warcry, is it the Warcry box?
I think so, yeah.
Oh man.
Do you know who you model? The person who does all the selling there is like a Dr. Dolittle style Necromunda man.
God.
Some of the conversations he would have with the animals would just be the most dastardly things you'd ever hear. It's like, he did what to the who and the what? Oh, right. Fair enough.
And the Caryatid abandoned the guy in the middle of the battle and joined up with the orcs.
Yeah, that's right, because Caryatids are orc creatures.
No, we've moved away from Caryatids. There are going to be enough people screaming at us via email and Discord, just being like, stop talking about the Caryatids.
They deserve the mention they got.
Yeah. I think it'd be great.
I think, there's definitely a case for pets and just familiars to be added to gangs that don't ever add anything in terms of a game sense, like, oh, my pet does X, Y, and Z. But it just, might give you an extra level of cool, or an extra level of, like, an extra point of cool, or an extra point of leadership, or something along those lines.
But a great thing, and I think it's actually something you mentioned during, I think it was our Escher episode, where we talked about how just use different models for the pets. Like, we're talking about cyber mastiffs here. Oh man, I cannot remember who did it. Someone took some of the Griffhounds from Age of Sigmar and turned them into cyber hounds, and gave them like robotic legs and some mechanical parts. And I made one in like a pale comparison to what this guy had made there. But stuff like that, just if your outcast Escher gang is going to hire cyber mastiffs, and you don't want them to be dogs because that's a little too warlock, and you want them to be cool lion birds, there you go. You don't want to have fear cats. You want to have fear griffhounds. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many cool gribbly beast options that you can do, and I mean, just going back to cyber mastiffs. There's all these different options of what you've got there, like the Adeptus Arbites kill team. Sorry, Adeptus Arbos kill team. has a great dog. We've just said that there's all those dog options from the new Cities of Sigmar. Was it Blackstone Fortress?
Blackstone Fortress had some animals in it. I'm just trying to remember what they were.
Was it the dog there? No, it was the Euclidean Fast Riders that had the dog, wasn't it? No. Euclidean Star Striders.
Yes, they have. They have. Oh, I can't even think of the breed of dog that it looks like. Let's say a Ridgeback, I think, or something like that. But it looks like just like a normal dog. But it's just got armor plates on the front and top of it. Yeah, but that dog there, like that particular miniature, would look great in the pound. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it looks really cool. Yeah.
But that's it. Like you don't even need to have every single one of your dogs looking the same. Make them different. Like sculpt a Robopug and giggle as it rips the calf muscles out of that Goliath gang. Like,
mate,
do it.
I want to see the Robo-Chihuahua. That'd be great.
Robo-Chihuahua.
Robo-Chihuahua. Was it Raging Rovers? That would be the definition of a Raging Rover.
Rending Rover.
Rending Rover. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, like, and we're obviously going to go into the particular variants of Cyber Mastiff in the Orlock episodes and the Enforcer episode. But yeah, there's so many different options because the generic option is a hacked Cyber Mastiff, but you don't need to go with one of the Orlock ones or with one of the Enforcer. I think the Enforcer ones are only available with Scrutinator Primus, Sir Velen. Yeah, that's a full-blown, like, armor-plated robot. But yeah, that might not suit your particular gang, but hell, man, do it. Do it.
It's like, I think the idea of, I mean, like the other creatures we've talked about, you can't see them really included in your gang as a pet. You know what I mean? But the Cyber Mastiff, you add it to your gang to give you that extra little bit of, you know, theme and story that you're creating, the vibe that you're creating. You know,
I find that offensive because as someone who would like a giant ash clam pet, I
cute little lead on it.
Yeah, cute little lead, just drag it around randomly, just throw it at people in the marketplace. It gets it wrapped around their head, they fall down. All of a sudden, there's all this stuff on the ground that I just get to take home with me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Clammy.
Real original with the name there. Yeah, nice work.
It was a mixture of Clam and Timmy. Well, we've talked a long time, but I think we can do just one more.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's a good one to end on, depending on how far we go with this.
Especially with what I've just done with Clammy.
So it's the face eaters, and I think they originate from Catachan, from what we understand. So on the death world of Catachan, a planet known for its hostile life forms, the Catachan face eater is considered to be one of the most unpleasant. In its natural environment, the creature hangs from low branches near water sources or anywhere prey is known to travel. When a prey creature comes in range, the face eater will drop or use its powerful muscles to fling itself in the direction of the creature's head. Once attached, it will not only suffocate its prey, but also use its powerful digestive acids to begin to feed as it slowly kills. The creature is difficult to remove once attached, as any damage dealt to it naturally travels to the prey it is attached to. Once it has succeeded in killing its prey, the creature lays a clutch of eggs, which hatch in a matter of hours as larva-like maggots. These maggots then feast upon the remains of the parent's kill. The rapid maturity rate has caused the creature to be quite the threat to nearby star systems, where its towel-like appearance and fondness for warm, damp conditions, such as those found in a bathroom, have helped its spread. I had to pause there for a second. What am I reading? Have we gone off topic here already in just the read?
Where did you get this information from, and why are you telling me there's some sort of face-eating monster living in my toilet? Um, the Catachan face eater, and a lot of people will probably be guessing, why are they talking about a monster from, Catachan, aka your average Australian holiday home? Um, This bad boy comes to us from the Necromunda Outlanders rulebook once again, and face eaters were actually imported to Necromunda and released into the heating vents in a poorly conceived attempt to control the colonies of vermin and deviant scum, using the uncharted miles of pipe to travel about the hive with impunity. That's really just how Australia got most of its
It's
fauna.
most of it's foreign. It's just somebody's going like, oh wait, how do we get rid of this creature? Well, let's get a cane toad in. No. On better. I can bring a face eater in. Well, what does it do? Well, it's in the name, buddy. Release it into the tunnels and you watch. It's gonna do its job.
Going to eat all those cane toads. It ignores the cane toads and literally just eats people.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
that's that's what they've done. It's the Ambulls all over again. It's like, yeah, just take them over there and we'll breed them
Yeah.
and we'll use them as food. No, this was a terrible idea.
It's a shocker. And do you know, when reading about how they operate, they do have a very similar method of killing as a drop bear, the Australian drop bear. So,
yeah. Well, this is might actually get a little bit too intense for a lot of our listeners. The drop bear is quite possibly one of the most dangerous animals in Australia. To the
it
point
almost
of,
sounds like they base it off. The face eater was based off it, but anyway, loosely based off it.
yeah. Well, if you take into account the fact that it focuses entirely on the face, that they're going from gestation of its young to hatching them in just a matter of hours. It's one of the reasons why we routinely purge forest and wooded areas of drop bears, as every Australian knows.
Yeah, 100%. And they must do the same with the tunnels on Necromunda as well. There must be kill teams that go out there purely just like your job today is to go kill.
Well, yeah,
face eaters.
It's genuinely in there. The information we have here, extermination campaigns were launched, and they have at the very least ensured that face eaters are now confined just to the Underhive, where the prevalence of more toxic conditions keep their numbers low. Now, much like the drop bear has, its natural skill at hiding in trees and amongst the leaves and stuff. Face eaters are amazing when it comes to this in Necromunda because they appear as just scraps of cloth. If you're walking through the Underhive, you're going to see a piece of cloth draped over a piece of wire, or it's just on the side of a pipe. Who cares? Whatever. You're not paying attention to it. As soon as you're getting close enough, that bad boy throws itself forward and attaches itself directly to your face with hundreds of tiny but almost impossibly sharp hooks wrapping around your head. And like you see that, you're gonna see, Timmy the Jew all of a sudden, mate, stop playing around with that piece of towel. Like, what are you doing?
Come on, mate.
Next
We've got
thing
a
you
gang
know,
fight to go to.
yeah, we're heading to a fight. Next thing you know, he doesn't have a face anymore.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely is that anyone around has to react almost immediately to attempt to save the person. But the reality is, once it's on you, your only option is to cut off the person's face.
Right. So what you're saying is the AdMech are the ones only with a chance against this thing.
Yeah. And all the people obsessed with plastic surgery and who want the most extreme form of facelift.
Yeah, true. It is a terrifying concept and a creature to have, and when you layer that on top of the nonsense that goes on in Necromunda, it adds more terror. And I just love the idea that they've just left it in the Underhive. They're just like, yeah, we've cleared the important areas.
It's not coming past the wall. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly. And your only defense in the Underhive proper is just to make sure you got no towel racks in your
Yeah.
little hab. Just get rid of all my towel racks, just to be on the safe side.
You just imagine, oh yeah, I heard uh I heard Krug got himself a new towel rack.
Rud.
Oh, yeah, I
Whoa,
know.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody, I just want you to take a moment to appreciate we have a person, or persons, maybe? I don't know how far he's going with this, in
Isn't Timmy.
Necromunda that isn't Timmy. Congratulations, Sam. Woo, yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. But Krug got himself a towel rack. Oh yeah, that's great. Nope, ate his face. Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, bought a towel from that stall in the marketplace. Face eater.
Yeah.
Ugh. You,
But
you,
that,
you get that on the big jobs.
yeah, you do. But it implies the fact that the face eater will attack anything as well, not just human-sized targets.
Yeah.
So if they're in all of these areas, then the creatures within those areas are all vulnerable as well. It'll be interesting to see, because they seem like a predatory type, or they don't seem like they are a predatory type creature, what exactly would hunt them down, or what exactly would be killing them? Because you're not going to be able to control population and numbers just through extermination patrols. There has to be something that would be enjoying themselves a nice little roll-up snack.
Yeah, that's man. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a um it sits within the sort of, I don't know, food pyramid of Necromunda, where they're living primarily within heat vents, tunnels, that sort of thing. They they flourished in these areas, um, and I think eventually, like any situation, animals eventually learn I can't travel down there because that's dangerous. So their natural prey being, I don't know, giant rats
I'd say
and
giant rats is primary.
spiders, all that sort of stuff. They're not going there anymore, and all of a sudden you've got hivers or scavies or nomads traveling through these areas, being like, I can travel down here because I don't get attacked by 100 giant rats led by one weird Cawdor bloke.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, Timmy loses his face. I think, yeah, it is eventually a nature finds a way.
So, from what you're saying, they'd probably end up starving themselves out, or they would have to migrate to different
They would have to
areas.
migrate because we know they can migrate. They use muscle spasms to move themselves now.
I
What's to
was
say
just
that?
about to ask, how do they travel?
Yeah,
What?
muscle spasms. They're effectively a giant muscle with a mouth. And what's the gene stealer, the ovipositor, where it puts the egg down your throat after giving you the kiss?
Yeah,
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 it's a face hugger. It's a face hugger, but
yeah. And
webbed.
eats the face. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love the idea. It's like a mass migration, and it just look
A face eaters.
just flapping across the ground.
Oh man, someone's washing got blown off the. um,
Exactly.
but this is another great thing with what you said before with the ash clams. Turn
Yeah.
these guys into a trap. Come
Yes.
up with some rules, and
Mm,
you know, you've really got to work quick. And if hopefully you've got a buddy with you so they can help.
mm,
But this is a great sort of alternative idea for a trap for your
mm,
campaigns or your one-off battles or just
mm.
arbitrators. Just put it in. Kooky stuff like this is what makes Necromunda Necromunda.
And it would fit perfectly in a Zone Mortalis fight.
Oh, that's it. Zone Mortalis. I'm so glad you've said what it was because that's going to annoy me all night otherwise. Um, yeah, no, oh man, Zone Mortalis. That these things would be just deadly.
Absolutely, it would be, and it could be something as like, even secretly, what you could do as a pre-game. This would be cool, actually. As a pre-game, the arbiter allows either gang to have herded some face eaters into a particular tunnel, and you can set them as a trap in that particular tunnel. So you get this extra little bonus action you get to perform in pre-game for your gang, and you secretly place it down, and then you go, oh, you've entered this particular tunnel vent, have you? Boom,
Yeah.
face eater attack. Yeah,
But it's also a great way for an arbitrator to sort of not punish the gangs, but really give them a challenge. If your if your campaign's getting a little bit tired of the same types of mission and that, man, do that Ambull egg scenario we talked about before. Throw a couple of face eaters in those tunnels.
Yeah, you could have like a mission just purely designed around fighting a menagerie of animals. So it's just like
That old Doctor Doolittle is Underhive Doolittle is doing his yearly catch. He's trying to find all the juvenile animals. He needs you to take care of the parents.
Yes, exactly. So you've got this mission where it's just this mass amount of animals just pouring in, all different silly ways of killing you or hurting you or sending you bonkers or something. And your gang is just trying to either fight their way through them or run away from them. Something along those lines.
That's terrifying because inevitably, what are they? Peter is gonna be like, you need to stop.
Yeah, exactly. You've killed enough animals for one game. I'm sorry. Our Peter representative that we have at every single Necromunda session is no longer happy with these results. Wow. All right.
We are getting silly now. It has been a long, quick episode. I'm gonna be honest. We've been at it like 2 hours now, dude. I think this might turn into a multi-part. Hey, the audience might just say to us, "This like, what was that? You two just like Samuel, you need help. Nathan, you need to stop enabling him." But I think there's going to be a multi-part. We might throw a couple of these in here and there.
Yeah, just come and revisit, obviously, the multitude of animals we haven't spoken about. Just because
this is so much longer. We've gotten through like 5 of them.
I know, it's an incredibly long list. And we're just like, let's just talk about like a cyborg chihuahua. That's a great idea. What a fantastic little tangent to go down, or caryatid hole to go down.
Yeah, when we went down like I think about 60 minutes of actual caryatid hole.
Yes,
but okay. Closing thoughts on the animals we've gone over so far. Your Ambull, your ash clams, blind snake, carrion bats, the caryatids, cybermassives, and the face eater. If you're taking one of these bad boys home, and it's definitely not going to eat you while you sleep or while you're awake.
Yeah,
what are you having?
I think I would go with. I think I'd go with a face eater. I like the idea of them. They're very cool. They are very, very cool. Out of everything we read there, the Ambull's going to wreck you. 9 times out of 10, it's going to absolutely destroy
11
you.
times out of 10, it's going to destroy you.
The caryatid we know is an orc thing, so it wouldn't suit. Yeah, ash clam, blind snake, a little bit boring, but the face eater would just keep you on your toes. Go to pick up a shirt, you don't know. Go to grab a towel, you don't know.
Oh, got you, Dad.
Gotcha.
The face eater, I think would be great. You chuck him in your gym bag. You go to the gym. Someone's on the machine you want. Surprise face eater.
Yeah, there you go.
It eats them. Everyone's just like, oh my god, got to stay away from that guy when he wants my machine. Use your machine. Face eater. Wipe up the sweat. He gets a lovely drink as well.
He loves you. He won't eat you after that.
You wait. The new face eaters come out of the corpse. You've just possibly tripled the number of pets you have. All of a sudden, you've got a business.
What about yourself? What would you pick?
Honestly, caryatid. No. No, mate, I'm going an Ambull. I'm going an Ambull. I would never need to catch a train again. He could just dig me a tunnel where he wants to go. They're, a 4 meter tall,
Mm.
what do we say, termite gorilla.
Yeah.
No one's breaking into my house ever, ever, ever. I
I
think it's
guess
great.
I think it's a great idea. The only little sort of chink in that would be that the Amble could just crush you at any time.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
you'd be
yeah.
play fighting with him, and all of a sudden, he rips your arm out.
Huh.
Um,
And you can't get mad because then he would get upset and
yeah,
rip your other arm off. So
rip
you'd be
your
like,
other
"It's
arm
okay,
off.
buddy. It's
Yeah.
okay. I know
Then
you didn't
how?
mean to do it."
Then how am I going to paint my miniatures?
In the cracking pace you're doing at the moment, yeah.
um, yeah, I'd go Amble.
Yep.
I think it'd be great.
Mm.
It'd definitely be a way to ensure people stayed away from my shopping cart while I was at the supermarket.
Yes,
Just
perfect.
take them with you, and
Yeah.
plus all those mandibles and stuff. He'd carry all the shopping back into the house for you.
Do it all in one trip, yeah.
Yeah, all in one
Winner.
trip. Well, all right. Closing on this one here. If you're still listening and you didn't get immediately turned off by I genuinely think it was about 60 minutes of just ranting about Caryatids. Scummers, the competition is still open. Like the Instagram, like the post, comment a gang. Please don't message us being like, hey, I want to do this, gang. It doesn't count. I wish it would count, but it doesn't. Those are the instructions. Please do it. Nathan, please tell me you're like, just finish your gang. Build it, paint it 2 weeks from right now. 2 weeks from right now, we're at the end of day one.
Faith and Nath.
Faith and Nath. I've got faith in Nath. We will close this one out, as always, with a quote. And this one here comes to us from that 2023 core rulebook. Loyalty is a sadly lacking trait these days. Every Juve and their pet rat thinks they can shoot you in the back if it means a few more script to line their pockets. This is why I trust old Face Ripper here with my life. You can't ask for a better friend than a cybermastiff. He's certainly more reliable than you bunch of misfits, and given the chance, he'll rip your face right off for me. You remember that. And that is Maida Jones from the Sons of Iron of House Orlok, about his cybermastiff, Face Ripper. And that was our latest episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. I am Spamuel, and on behalf of the Lorekeeper team, thank you for listening. Please follow us on Instagram, and don't forget to follow and review us on your preferred podcast platform. As always, if you have questions, complaints, corrections, or if you wish to know more about the Caryatids and their obvious links to the assassination of Lord Helmore, please reach out to us at underhivelerekeepers@gmail.com. Thanks.